felt like my soul was detaching from my body, basically. But then I realized that that's a panic attack. And it was really my body signaling to me that something's not right anymore in my life. I felt like I was living a life that wasn't mine. I felt completely unaligned. Hi there, and welcome to my channel. Thank you for coming to my channel out of all the channels out there. Today I wanted to talk about the fact that sometimes life gets a little bit tough and we can go through some crazy transitions, like the loss of a marriage, the loss of a job, moving countries, the loss of a loved one. And these things can be particularly difficult when they stack up, one on top of the other. So I wanted to share a bit of my own story with the idea that it might help you as well. I've currently left a country where I've lived for 3 years. I've ended an abusive, psychologically abusive marriage. And of course, with that, I quit my job as well. And now I found myself back again after 12 years in my country of origin, where I grew up, basically, which I left at the age of 18 to kind of escape all of the hardship that I've gone through before that. So you can imagine that now, after coming back here, it has been incredibly difficult, as much as it's been beautiful, as much as I've received the love and the support of my family and of the loved people that I have around here. I've been confronted again with my past trauma, with a past relationship, with my teenage years, which were incredibly difficult for me, as well as while facing the consequences that an abusive marriage leaves. And that has caused me to have severe panic attacks, but to an extent that I've never experienced before in my life. I mean, these panic attacks actually started when I was still in the previous country where I lived, which was Canada. And they were mild, you know. At the beginning I was a bit shocked because I thought, well, am I losing my mind? Because I felt like it felt like my soul was detaching from my body, basically. But then I realized that that's a panic attack. And it was really my body signaling to me that something's not right anymore in my life. I felt like I was living a life that wasn't mine. I felt completely unaligned with where I felt like I was supposed to be, even though I didn't know exactly where I was supposed to be. I had my dreams, my ambitions, but it just did not feel right. It didn't feel right in terms of the location in which I was living, the work, my partner, and it felt like I was becoming a shell of myself. I felt like I couldn't be myself, like I couldn't be authentic, like I couldn't express myself. I was continuously walking on eggshells, making myself small to keep arguments from not escalating, because similar situations were happening both at home as in at work. But then I thought, after planning in secret to leave the marriage, which was incredibly hard for me because I'm not a good liar. So keeping that a secret was just horrific for me. having to plan how to sell my furniture, close all the bank accounts, all of those things, changing phone number, turning off the electricity, all of that stuff I did in secret, except for the last week when I told him, so that he could decide what he wanted to do with his things, which wasn't much because I was practically living this person and I was the only one working. And I thought that after leaving that, life would, I imagined that it would probably be a bit difficult and I would have to convince myself to not go back there again. That was my biggest fear, actually, to not go back, because that was a common pattern that I kept on repeating. Then I arrived here and I was confronted with so much. Not just with that, but with a big portion of my childhood, with the death of my mother, with my grandmother getting sick and ending up in the hospital. And it just all became too much. And then I received some advice from friends that thought was good advice, and I loved them dearly. But the same things don't work for everybody when we're going through difficult things in life. So I was like, yeah, I'll drink a bit, I'll go out, I'll have fun. And then every time I would get a bit drunk, all of the emotions would just come out bursting like a ring of fire. And the next day, the next morning, I would have such insane panic attacks, but those were not 10-minute panic attacks where you can redirect your mind, redirect your focus, breathe. Those were panic attacks where I thought I was gonna lose my mind. And the last one was so intense that I got so freaked out that I ended up going to the emergency center, which I ended up leaving because I ended up calling my father, God bless him, who was there for me. And I had a very dear friend as well who was there for me. And I said, please take me to the psychiatric hospital because I can't take this anymore. Turns out that the psychiatric hospital didn't answer because it's in another town, quite far away, so we didn't drive there. And I was walking with my father through the park, barely being able to even walk, wanting to crawl out of my skin. And then I went to his home with his new girlfriend, where I sat on that balcony trying to just stay grounded and sane and okay. And it's still kind of hard for me to talk about this experience because it's only been a few days. She brought me one of those medications that help you calm down your nervous system, which I'm not a big advocate of, but that actually helped. And then the girlfriend of my dad arranged a visit with a therapist. And in the end, I'm very grateful that I didn't end up going to the psychiatric hospital, because I got to meet this therapist that so far has been incredibly helpful and has gone through very similar experiences as I have in her life, but some years ago. And well, this story doesn't really have an ending. It's an ongoing story of recovery, of rebuilding my life anew from scratch after my entire life literally crashed and burned down. And I have a feeling that there's good things on the horizon, but for the moment I can't see clearly what's gonna happen at all. I have some ideas, I have job opportunities in different places, But for once in my life, I am quite done with traveling. And for the first time in the 30 years that I've been here, I'm actually ready to live in my home country and stop running away. Even though I've done so much healing in these past 12 years that I've been abroad, and I was meditating regularly and doing yoga and thinking that I'm dealing with my problems, really a big portion of it remained buried. And now it's kind of the time to confront that, to confront my past, to confront myself, and start to embrace the softer aspects of myself. It's quite odd because now there's particular things that I can't watch because they're too triggering. There are foods that I can't eat because they're too triggering. There's places that are triggering. But I kind of, in some instances, I for sure give myself the grace. And then there's other places where I decide to go. I'm looking forward. I feel like something good must come out of this. I'm sure of that. I just don't know what it's gonna be yet. And this is a good day. And then on the bad days, I feel like I might go crazy and end up in the psych ward. But I think that's really just deep, profound anxiety talking after the years and years of trauma. I've been told I have PTSD, and I'm in the process of healing now. So I hope that this story might inspire somebody who might be going through the same thing, so that you can know that you're not alone, that there's more of us out there, and that we're gonna get through this some way, somehow, even though we don't see it yet. I'll continue making these videos with the intention of sharing my story. I have a lot of stories in my book. Some dark, some funny, many adventures. And I'm looking forward to that. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Like and subscribe, as they say, because there's gonna be much more of this. I'm sending you a big, warm hug, and I hope you're well.